Look at some problems for chapter 4. So list the atomic symbol and atomic number for each element. So this is easier for the periodic table. So if you look for potassium, I'm just going to go from the chart here. Potassium, it's there in element number 19, K, gold, AU, number 79. Silicon is 14, and antimony is there 51. And it's there in the periodic table. So identify these as a metal, non-metal, or metalloid. So A, barium, it's way far to the left of the line, so that is going to be a metal. Iodine is to the right of the line, that is a non-metal. Oxygen is also to the right of the stepladder line, that's a non-metal. And tellurium, this is right along that line, so it would be one of the semiconductors. So it's a metalloid. And I mean by that line, if you see that the big thick line stepladder going down there in the P block of the periodic table. So which group or family does the elements belong? Magnesium, this is an alkaline earth. So nitrogen, it's going to be group 5A. Sometimes I call it the nitrogen family. K, that's potassium, that's an alkali metal. And bromine, that is a halogen. So that is the halogen, group 7A. Determine the ion charge from the number of protons, electrons. So magnesium ion with 10 electrons, sulfur with 18 electrons, iron with 23 electrons. So start off with magnesium. Magnesium is 12, and if it has 10 electrons, it's going to be a +2 charge. So sulfur is 16, and if it has 18 electrons, you subtract those 18, you get -2. And then iron 26. If iron has 23 electrons, then its charge is +3. So you can just take the number of protons minus the number of electrons, and then that's the number of charge. And so if it's positive, then it says positive charge. If it goes negative, then you have a negative charge. So determine the number of protons, electrons, and an ion. Determine the number of protons, electrons in the calcium +2 ion. So if you look at the periodic table, and atomic number of calcium is 20, so it's 20 protons. So that means there's 20 protons, but then it's a +2 ion, which means there's 2 fewer electrons. So that means there's 18 electrons in calcium +2. So from the charge down, the position of the periodic table, what ions do barium and iodine tend to form? So barium is an alkaline earth, they tend to be +2, and iodine is a halogen, it tends to be -1. You have to figure out what the most common denominator then between 2 and 1 is. It's 2. So it tends to be barium, then 2 iodines, so BaI2. So it's going to be an anion with that, so it's going to be BaI2. So let's look at this. What are the atomic number Z, mass number A, and symbols for a carbon isotope that's 7 neutrons? So carbon has 6 protons. So carbon is always going to, so that's Z, and that's the carbon on the periodic table. The mass number A, it's going to be the number of protons plus the number of neutrons, and that's 13. So that would be carbon 13. And you can symbolize it with a carbon -13 or the 13-6 carbon for there. Number of protons and neutrons from isotopes. So how many protons and neutrons are in the isotope, chromium isotope, chromium 52? Protons, it's just the mass number is 24. The number of neutrons is just the top number minus the bottom number, so that's 28 neutrons. The mass number minus the atomic number. So we can calculate atomic mass. Gallium has 2 naturally occurring isotopes with those masses and those abundances. So you have to do the weighted amount. So you look at this and then do the weighted amount, and then you do it together. And notice that the weighted amount has 4 sig figs. So you have to bring the answer down to 4 sig figs. And in previous sections we've talked about this, how you do the parentheses first in the operations, and then do the addition, and then bring it down to the proper number as sig figs. Determine the ion charge from the number of protons and electrons. determine a charge of a selenium ion with 36 electrons. The atomic number of selenium is 34, so it's 34 protons, and there's 2 extra electrons. That means it has a -2 charge. So just looking at the relative number of electrons and protons, since there's 2 more electrons, it has 2 more negative charges. So determine the number of protons, electrons, and ion. What are the protons, electrons in the oxygen -2 ion? So oxygen is, its atomic number is 8. So it has 8 protons, and since there's a -2 ion, that means there's 2 extra electrons. That means there's 10 electrons. So that's how you would figure that out. And we are done.